as Lee said, I'm Oliver. I think he said I'm Oliver. Yeah, and this is my talk working with Workspace. I'm a software engineer at a company called Invika. We've got offices in London and Sheffield and various other places around the UK. As we touched on, I work remotely from home. Not that makes too much difference for this talk, really. And I'm OP Davis online, pretty much everywhere. Twitter, GitHub, Drupal.org, pretty much everywhere, basically. So yeah, feel free to track me down afterwards if you've got questions or anything. So first of all, what is Workspace? It's a tool that we use and maintain at Invika. It's an open source MIT licensed project. So anybody can download, install it on there and use it on their projects. It's a tool for creating custom commands for your environments. So if you want a command to deploy something to a server, for example, or just to run a really long Docker compose command locally, that's essentially what it does. And it's an alternative to writing a bash script. So I've seen bash scripts, things like develop.sh or dev.sh or something that people used to do the same thing. So they'll just use that as a wrapper. And if argument 1 is equal to drush, run Docker compose, whatever, or if argument 1 is deploy, do something, or a makefile. So makefile, I quite like makefiles, but Workspace does give some advantages of makefiles in some ways. We'll touch on in a moment. So commands, as I said, we can make custom commands to run longer commands or multiple other tasks in one command. Functions are sort of the same thing, but they're not directly executable, but you could reuse them across multiple commands if you wanted to. Attributes, so essentially variables in your file. They can be sort of single strings or arrays of things. They can also be encrypted, which is one of the other advantages. So we can generate a secret key, which is sort of the main key for the project that you typically sort of not commit to Git, ideally, and store in something like LastPass, and that's used for generating any further secrets in your file. And we can use it for generating configuration files. So I do a lot of work with Drupal and a lot with Symfony. So say if you've got a settings.php file for your Drupal site, and we want to generate one when we run a command like ws install, we can provide a template, maybe in a twig format is the standard, and it knows to look for twig files, and it will create a non-twig version, replace all the variables with attributes, and then generate the files for you on the fly. So I think we've got time here for a demo. Unfortunately, I didn't restart the clock before I started, so I don't know how I'm doing for time, but maybe if you can give me a shout, Lee or Dave.
Yeah, it's all fine.
Near the time. So Thank you very much. Rookie mistake. So this is just an empty project. This is on GitHub as well, if people want to take a look at it later on. And there's just an empty workspace.yaml file. So this is the key file that we need to run this project. And I've already installed it, workspace that is. Let's see. Let's go to find the link, but I can't get back to Firefox for some reason. There we go. Just find this quickly. It's GitHub My 127 workspace. So there's a couple of installation instructions here. Essentially, we download the WS executable itself and put it into your bin directory and chmod it to its executable, and then it makes it available everywhere. So it's really simple to install. So I could just run WS here, and we can see the default output. So we have global and secret by default. So this is very Symfony console-esque, uses a lot of Symfony behind the scenes, uses console, uses expression component, various other Symfony things in the background there. So without adding anything, we just get this. I'm going to refer back to the example here on GitHub and say, this is how we go at defining a command using this command keyword, and then the name of our command. So I'll start by just copying this in. We can use various interpreters. So this is just going to use bash. Bash and PHP are the ones I tend to use mostly, but I think you can just put whatever here, but I haven't tried. And now we've done that, we now get this extra subcommand called say hello. And as you can probably tell, this is just going to echo out hello world. So there we go. Just get hello world there. There's a couple of little helper functions we can use. One of them is run. So we can just say run the command, which sort of runs it, but doesn't show you the output. And we get a nice little sort of square here. Like if it's green, then it ran fine. If it fails, it's red. Let's see, alternatively, we have pass through, slightly odd spelling. I always mistype it the first time. And now we get the actual output from the command there. So we can always see the command that is running underneath the hood, under the hood, and then we get the output or not, depending on whether or not we pass through run or pass through. The next thing we can look at is an attribute. If I can spell it, this will be a message, and then I'm trying to think when I need to quote it. I will just be on the safe side here, and then if I remember the syntax rightly, then it's an @ symbol at the beginning, then the name of our attribute. And I think I need to pass through this here. So the @ symbol is sort of an alias for run or something. I can hear kids and my wife going back, so apologies for any background noise that we get here in a minute. And if I run this now, we should get the same thing. So rather than defining the hard coding, the name of our message, we've now included it as an attribute there. Let's see, I do have a workspace override file with a key. So this is my default key. Let's see, if I just remove it, we'll just generate a new one. Clear this briefly, and then secret generate. There's no autocomplete here, which is slightly annoying. Generate random key. So this is my new key. And let's just replace that here. Okay, so if I was to run something like now, like WS encrypt YPC, typing is hard when people are watching. Hello, PHP Southwest. And I said Southwest, not South Wales. I knew I was going to do that at some point. Lucky I didn't. Let's see, what have I not done here? Secret encrypt. There we go. So this is the encrypted version of that message based on this key. So that, as I said, this key would go into something like LastPass, and we could use that then in our message. We could pass through names. We didn't do that in this case, but after encrypting, we can use a decrypt command. So I can just replace my attribute message. The dog is whimpering behind me. That's really, really distracting. Let's see, and we can just replace this message with this message here. Okay, so now I think we should have the same thing at this point. If I run that again, or we should get the new message, shouldn't we? And variable. Let's see, what have I not included? Is it a pipe? We have a pipe. Let's see, what have I not included here? Expression. That's fine. There's a couple of things I always do. I always get this wrong here. That seems fine. Is it these quotes in here? Did I miss out some quotes? There we go. Quotes are important. Okay, so now, as long as we've included our base key in LastPass, gitignore, etc., we can encrypt our secrets. This could be an S3 bucket name or password, or our database credentials or something. We can commit these quite happily with, without worrying about secrets getting leaked there. Let me see what else I want to show. Config files. Yeah. So in this example, we have a settings.php.twig. As I said, it uses twig as the convention, and you see this is any Drupal people would sort of recognize this as part of a settings.php file or a stub of it for demo purposes. And just within that, we're replacing the actual values with the attributes. So we're using double curly brace syntax to interpolate variables. We've got alias, add symbol for echoing or rendering, I can't quite remember. And we can reference variables or attributes based on using a dot notation. So database.driver. So if I was to copy this set of attributes from here, paste it in at the bottom. So we can also define attributes plural in this sort of format as well as singular. Let's just clean this up a little bit here. Now, one part of this we need is the confd part. So we need to say which are the files that we're confding. So the source is the settings.php file, and it knows it's inside confd because of this here. And then the destination is going to be the workspace root settings.php. So it's going to add it. We've got one already. Let me just remove it where the other one was. So that's fine. Fix my indentation. And then the last thing that we need is a command that we can actually run to apply the config. So this is using the PHP interpreter I mentioned earlier. And we're just going to say confd, this needs to match this, which does. And then we're going to just say apply. And then hopefully we should have, let's say apply. Okay, yeah, so what it's doing here is using the space as a delimiter, which we don't want. So handy in some situations, but not right now. So yeah, there's our apply config command. And hopefully if I run this, it's going to fail. That's not what I was expecting. It's because my key, I've cycled the key since doing this, which is causing the decrypt to fail. Let's just cheat for now. Let's just say it's password. It's only a demo, we're fine. And hopefully we have a settings.php file, and we have the settings.php file with the new variables in it. So yeah, I use this a lot for settings files. I was going to say like parameters.yaml files for real Symfony projects or environment variable files in projects. Think way to manage things. Or yeah, there we go. So a couple of links. One is the GitHub repo that I showed at the beginning. This is where the tool is. We can download it from and check out some of the documentation. Some of it is still sort of work in progress. We've got people working on it at the moment to fill in some of the gaps there. As I said, it is all open source, so feel free to fork it and submit PRs. That would be awesome. And yeah, the other one is the link to the demo project. Yeah, if you have questions now, you can have a couple of questions, or yeah, feel free to find me on the website or Twitter or anywhere afterwards and get in touch there as well.
Cool, thanks very much. And if anyone has got any questions, just pop them in the Q&A. Oh yeah. Let me just get to that. What are the main benefits of this approach over something like using real environment variables?
I guess by the time, once we've run the WS build or WS apply config in this case, command, like all we have basically usually is like we tend to use like a Docker compose environment behind the scenes. And once we've run WS apply config or build, we've got a pretty standard config there then. So it's really just an abstraction layer on the top. So once we've done it, like my point is once we've set up the environment variables as attributes, then we do have usual environment variables, if that makes any sense. So this is, yeah, really just a layer on top of it to generate the files we would have had rather than just doing it manually.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, Liam's giving thumbs up to that. Any other questions? Okay, thanks very much for that, Ollie.